to the show. We got Dee and Stephanie. And Steven on the mic. And Gabriel here tonight. Let us know when you're ready, Steven. The beautiful power of editing. We can do whatever we want, and he can just cut it out when he's ready.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, powder that nose, take away that
You probably
shine.
need some water, my amigo.
My water's right here. We can talk about 2 hours later.
Okay, cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We out here in Pasadena.
Okay.
We are live.
All right, we're live.
All right. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Infectious Truth Podcast. I'm Steven. We have our guest, Gabriel, back again as a co-host.
IIamLegend. How are you guys doing?
And our new 2 guest stars,
Diana.
And Stephanie Loera.
Stephanie Loera.
Hey,
Your name is
and
legit
last name
Stephanie
basis.
Yeah.
You're lying.
No, for real.
My sister's name is Stephanie Loera.
Wow.
No.
I'm not even lying.
Are you guys
My sister.
long lost relatives?
Are you kidding?
I'm not even lying to you. That's so
Wow.
funny. What part of Mexico are you from?
Aguascalientes?
Aguascalientes? I think she's from... No.
Her dad is from Aguascalientes?
Yeah, I think so. He is actually.
Yeah, I think I may have met her one time.
Are you
by
serious?
accident. Yeah, this is really
Did you
weird.
actually meet her there?
No, I think I met her at a restaurant in South Pasadena.
Yes.
She used to work at that place.
She still works there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, what a small
She thought it was
world.
a joke.
You thought it was a joke?
When I handed her my ID, she's like, what's happening? Is it real?
Wow.
That's my
Is this
sister.
fake?
Oh,
That's my
that's
sister.
Oh my
Such a
God.
small world.
Such a
That
small
is
world.
wild.
What a way to start off the podcast,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I always see... Usually you see a doppelganger when someone looks alike, but I think the same name is more interesting, right?
Yeah.
It's because it's like a different heritage or a different... but you guys like same spot from... I don't know.
Some region.
I think it's weird how last names work. Like, how do they even start?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think like obviously more obvious ones like Johnson. It's like there's a guy named John, and that's his son, and then it's like
Yeah.
John's son.
But I
Put them
think-
together.
I think
Yeah,
back
right.
then there was
yeah.
like, well, that's Sir Lottingbug. Like, they had like
Right.
a name for their job or something, or like, I don't know how back it goes.
Right,
but-
John the Butcher or something
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
John the mechanic.
Yeah.
John the Mechanic.
That's
John
true.
the
That's
blacksmith. So that's how.
Does anybody else have any secret last name or anything that we might?
No.
My
wanna
last
know?
name is Ortega, and I think that's a chili sauce.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mine's
Ortega's Italian, but there's you're Mexicans. There's a lot of Mexicans. with,
Right.
Italian last names like Ortega.
Yeah, I feel like we're all just
know that.
somehow related. But that's awesome.
We are.
Welcome to the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
family?
Familia.
Yeah.
Cool.
We feel like family to me.
What are the
Familia.
chances that it's his sister? At
Viva la raza, yeah.
Viva la
That's
raza.
wild.
Yeah.
You can meet a million people in this world, and it's his sister on
Yeah.
his podcast.
On my
Yeah,
podcast,
I
yeah.
know.
Very interesting.
We're
It's-
brothers.
We're brothers and sisters, like destiny.
Yeah.
That's
So what do you guys do? Tell us about yourself. Whoever wants to go first.
Well, I am an educator. I teach communication courses at 3 different schools in the area, 2 colleges and a university. I'm what they call a freeway flyer, adjunct faculty member,
I didn't
a
even-
lecturer.
I didn't
So
know
Badass.
that.
people
Right.
who don't know,
Amazing.
me and Diana met in London, and I think that's an awesome way to meet someone. But like, I didn't even know you were an educator.
Yeah.
This whole time, I don't think
yeah.
we've ever talked about what you do for a
I think
living.
people get weirded out when they're like, I just don't see you,
As an educator?
teaching. Yeah, I don't see you. And I was like,
Like legit.
well, because you
professor.
got to, I don't,
Well, because you're
I don't
human
know.
first. you
Right.
know?
First of all, maybe because I don't give off that vibe and I'm having a good time. I'm in a social setting. I'm not going to be like, all right, class, right, to my friends. Like, I don't know. It just, people get, weirded out when I say that.
Do you ever find yourself trying to be the cool teacher and being like,
No, I am the cool
You're the
teacher.
cool teacher? I
Yeah,
can see
yeah, no,
that.
I am
I believe it.
absolutely
I can
the cool
definitely see
teacher.
that.
No, I just think that, I respect my students and, I also expect respect in return. But I try not to take myself so serious in the classroom because I don't think that as a student, I didn't want to feel intimidated. I didn't want to feel like I couldn't ask questions. And some professors gave that vibe, and I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that person.
I've had teachers who definitely did not care about their students. For sure.
They're just, it's like an ego trip for some educators out there. And I'm like, nah, you know what?
I'm better than you, kid.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, easy. So
especially for students of color, like to see someone like them, one, and two, just to feel comfortable, be first generation, like. Right. Such a big deal.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I really do identify with a lot of my students, and I hope that they, identify with me. Yeah,
representation is important.
Yeah,
being able to see someone like yourself being in a position of power and being like, hey, I can be like her.
Yeah,
that's true.
No,
that's true. That's why we need more Mexican superheroes.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
We're all proud of you. Just want to say that.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
What yourself, Steph?
I actually I do a little bit of everything, but I put on big events. I work at a museum in downtown LA called La Plaza de Cultura y Artes. So the first Mexican-American cultural center in downtown LA. So a lot of fun, a lot of big events, food.
That's awesome.
Like serious stuff, very leisure stuff. But I don't know, it's good. Good times.
I want to go there. I've never heard of it.
Oh, they had the Cuban festival. That was so much fun. Yes. Good food and music.
Yeah.
I need to know about these events.
Yeah.
Yes.
I definitely want to go. I love trying different cultures of food and
that was so much fun.
It is awesome. We have taco competitions, but everything from like very leisure, fun movies, music, food to more serious, like current events. We get different professors from the region come in to talk about a variety of things, but really pertaining to the Latino community.
Oh, wow.
Like politics, history especially.
That's amazing. Yeah, I've only been to LACMA. Like the typical LA, art museums and stuff like that. And I think a new one that's by the Disney Concert Hall.
Mm-hmm. The Lucas? No.
Yeah.
No, the Bro.
The Bro.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely want to check out the one you just mentioned. Do they have that often?
They were starting to pick up our events after once the pandemic hit, everything kind of shut down.
Right.
But it's coming back. It's coming back with a vengeance.
Yeah, I'm so glad. How do you guys feel about everything now? Like, I feel like it's going back to normal for me. I've never really been scared. Obviously, I did take it seriously, but I don't know. I'm glad that sports are back and you can be in a crowd and you can go to your soccer games or your baseball games or basketball, whatever. Or we can have this right now and feel safe. I'm vaccinated. I don't know how you guys feel about
Me
all this
too.
stuff.
Vaccinated and proud.
Very proud.
Right. I think it's fun. I don't know if anyone's on dating apps. I think you guys are in relationships, right? But even on dating apps now, they're like, oh, are you vaccinated? Let's let people know. And you can match with people who are vaccinated, I just think that's funny.
Yeah,
the world that we're in right now is interesting.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to, ease my way back into doing things locally. I'm a little, okay, I'm going to sound like such an asshole here, but I'm annoyed with, every restaurant, every, what else? I don't know. The shopping mall is congested. So many people out, and I'm like, I hate crowds. Right. Yeah. So, I'm rather just I'll wait.
Are you referring to COVID?
Yeah, right,
right when they said it's okay, you didn't want to go right away.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
That's true, because places that were populated weren't as bad, but now they're 10 times more bad because everyone's dying to get out.
Right.
So you're stuck in a crowd, and I don't like I'm kind of claustrophobic already, so I don't like being stuck on anything.
Right.
It's the worst feeling.
I feel the same way.
In crowds or in elevators.
Yes.
I got stuck in an elevator for 15 minutes.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
At my old hospital job, and I was with a dead body.
No, you were not.
It was my first dead body. I just started.
God.
Was it just you and the dead body?
So I was working at City of Hope, City of Hope in Duarte, and I was a transporter.
Yes.
And we would take any type of patient to where they have to go, but once they passed away, we would also have to take them to the morgue.
Yeah.
And it was my first time ever getting my first dead body. I was 2 weeks in. And for some reason, I was going to an old elevator, not the new elevator. I was going to the old one because they had to go to that one. And it got stuck for 15 minutes. And it was a tight space like this. And say this is the body. Yeah. And I'm just here in the elevator okay. Okay, I'm just tripping out. The door's about to open. The door didn't open. And I'm like panicking and pressing the emergency button. And the guy's like, "Hey, how's it going? Emergency?" And I was like, "Yeah, the elevator's stuck. I don't know what to do." And he's like, "Should I call 911?" I was like, "You have a protocol. You should know what to. This is why I'm calling you."
Yeah.
And as soon as I said that, it was ding. I was like, "Ah!" And I was like,
Was it all hot in there? Because it
hot
just
as
shut
shit
down.
because you're also freaking out. You know, you
Yeah.
feel like you're gonna lose oxygen. And I pushed the body where I had to take it, and I ran, went upstairs, called my boss, and I was like, I called my boss like, I just got stuck in the elevator. I don't know what to do. She's like, "Welcome to the team."
Oh my
Wow.
god.
Was the body covered?
Yeah, it's covered.
Okay.
But you still freak out. Like, what if it moves? What if it gets up? What if it like you're just?
You should just have a
you're
conversation.
thinking-
Be like, I'll be
you're
joining
thinking
you
all
soon
this
if
stuff.
this
even said-
elevator doesn't.
I was stuck in my head and I was like, "Please don't move. Please don't move. Please don't get up. Don't get up. Get on it." But yeah, so ever since then I've been kind of weird. Like, remember last time you brought me up and the elevator wasn't moving?
Oh,
I was
yes,
freaking
yes,
out because like I was like, "Oh, not again, not again." But
Yeah.
it turns out it was broken. Luckily, it opened up for us though.
Okay, good,
So
good.
yeah, screw that.
That's
Never
kinda
again.
deep.
Yeah.
Interesting
Kind of a deep moment.
experiences on the
Kind of
job.
to segue back to like yourselves, right? Because the whole point, like for you guys to know, talk about more about like you and how you got you're a grass organizer.
Yes, grassroots organizer, completely by accident, but like many, I think. Let's see. For me, like so many people during the whole like Trump reign, and especially as they were coming in, obviously many folks were like, "Nah, this isn't gonna happen. Trump's not gonna get elected." But it happened, and so I feel like so many, I was kind of left thinking, "What the hell happened?" Like I thought other people, those people over there, had it handled. Like they were gonna vote, they were gonna organize people, they were gonna make sure that we had a strategic plan. We were just gonna hang out and watch Hillary win. Not my favorite, but whatever. Not Trump.
Yeah.
Which is the point, right? Not Trump. And once obviously shit hit the fan, then really started reflecting as to like, okay, well, how do you get, political power? One, how do you regain political power? And two, what's up with us as Latinos? Like, where are we in this? Like, and we are the second largest voting bloc in this country. That's bananas. And we don't have that much power still. And obviously, like these different groups are creating like these strategies that they're hoping will last for generations, so that they can build upon it with each kind of voting block, or not voting block, but different generation that comes into voting. And so like looking at it in that kind of detail, like they're coming after our votes, but what are we doing about it? And are we empowering ourselves? And do we have a plan? And I think many are working toward that, but I think that moment with Trump, it caused a lot of us to be like, okay, we have to do it. Like, there's no one going to save us. We're going to save ourselves. That's it. And so part of that big plan turned into, why do these other states have so much power over us? California obviously voted one way. I mean, and although we did lose some like local seats to Republicans as well, which is very important. But so my friends and I kind of came together, family came together, and we started a group that specifically targeted swing districts in California, but also in other parts of the country, swing states really, with large populations of like Latinos, just different POC groups, so that we could just really mobilize folks and get them registered to vote. That was the goal. That was it. Just how can we just get each other more civically engaged?
Right.
So that's a long answer.
That was a
That's great.
answer.
That's a great answer.
I feel like I just voted for you.
Thank you.
You got my vote.
Sure, girl.
Would never run, but
when the Trump thing was going down, I think the most people finally decided to vote. Like, more people voted than ever before when all that stuff was happening. I remember hearing about that, which is crazy that most people don't even like to vote.
No.
Yeah.
But they were trying to get him out so bad.
Yeah.
They're like anyone.
Yeah.
But
Anyone but Trump.
Yeah.
Really.
With that, like, I don't want to make anyone angry. I'm not a Trump supporter, but I'll say this: beyond like voting for politicians, it's like one thing that I feel for myself, and I emphasize, it's like making changes within your community as well, because I feel like for like a mass of the population, at least in the States, that people seek for like politicians to make changes, which they can, but it also takes like Stephanie's saying here about making choices in your community to like influence people to either to vote or to like support businesses that support causes that like will support vice versa support your community, that will invest.
Right. Sometimes I think that we have more power on a local level, on a state level. And I teach an argumentation course, and I want to talk about advocacy and activism outside of the classroom. Because the thing about academia is that sometimes you have just a bunch of educators who are creating an echo chamber. They're writing and publishing papers for other educators, but activism never leaves. It's not something physical. It's not, how would you say, like it's...
Well, yeah, it's like, here's the theory, and super important. I mean, the work that you all are doing is like incredible, because you're actually giving us the data that we then need, but then we need to activate it.
Yeah.
We can't just let the data be on its own. Like from that point, and then, like you need protests, you need everything to happen together, kind of to create a movement. But I agree, sometimes it just stops.
Right.
And we need to remember that, we got to get out of our houses.
It's beyond, like, it's not just about every 4 years. It's about every single day that you're living and how you're allocating your support versus, allocating towards causes that really, like, do things in the community.
Your life.
Yeah.
Completely. And there's a reason why it's hard. There's a reason why it's boring. That it's done on purpose that way. Because they don't want us engaged. They want us to just be like, no, I'd rather play with this filter.
Yeah.
I'd
rather not.
Yeah.
This is definitely the time and this generation where like people are using their voices and doing protests and going out and fighting things, I think that's an awesome thing to witness. Yeah. Especially for the kids. When we were younger, we didn't have nothing that we cared about. These kids nowadays, they're like choosing their identities. They're like changing their style, the way they look and dress. I think that's awesome. I wish I was kind of a kid now to get to pick or like just be different and not follow the trends that we had as kids, like the big baggy tees and stuff like that.
She knows wrong.
I know. I was like, you gotta calm down. I'm all like, right.
It's like individual responsibility, because we are influenced. We're kind of brought up to fall in line with the status quo, to think a certain way. But it's like, I feel like it's responsibility for every individual to really kind of focus your energy on the right things, and kind of, I know, but it's kind of like the culture that it is now, just kind of to follow versus to kind of have
critical.
Yeah.
Critical thinking skill is a big deal.
Needs to be taught. Yeah.
That too.
For sure.
Critical, and then mental health, how all these things play into all these different things.
Yeah. And right. Again, going back to my argumentation class, like you're like, okay, so I'm committed to my beliefs, my political beliefs, and in no way do I try to persuade my students to think like me. I just want them to use and create or use their critical thinking skills. I'm not here, to perverse the youth with my liberal agenda, which I hate that term, liberal agenda, right? And I don't know. I don't. It just happens. I just happen to be looking.
I play the devil's advocate. I'm a Republican. So listening to that, so I asked if the mic was on, so we could have a discussion.
Yeah.
But the mic's not on.
Right.
Yeah,
but
we're definitely
there's little things I wanted to pick and choose, or not even pick and choose, just their overall statement that you guys said, or the way you said how Latinos are involved. But I will leave it at that.
Seems like
We can talk about
no,
that
but
later.
and I don't want to deviate from your question, but yeah, the critical thinking. I want them to think for themselves and not regurgitate, faulty news sources or what the media is throwing at them, shoving down their throat and stuff. So that's kind of I want to encourage original thought and critical thinking.
Well, original thought is what most of the time what Republicans will teach. And when you say regurgitating, it's not even on. When you say regurgitating media, that's more of the things that you see most of the people.
I don't know. I almost feel like...
I won't even say the left, because I think the whole left and right thing is ridiculous.
Well, I didn't want to talk about, the left or right. Did I mention either?
I don't
No.
No.
Because I was going to say, because you said how people regurgitate the media information or incorrect sources. I was going to say the left, but then again, I don't like the whole terminology between the left and the right.
Yeah, because I'm definitely critical of both sides.
Yes,
right?
Yeah,
and you should be. You shouldn't be like, 100% committed.
I find the funniest thing how the side that's supposed to be the most tolerant at times it goes out the window. There's no tolerance at all. It's just, I think both sides are very contradicting of what they say.
Well, I think there's more negotiating. There's a lot of negotiating and centrist.
Yeah. In general.
And no. And I don't know.
Well, I feel like politics in general, it's business to some extent. So there is, politics do, like, people's message or people's kind of their mission statement to kind of make change kind of gets muffled within the politics, because politics, it is still business to some extent, you know?
Yeah, just on some issues, I don't think there should be any type of negotiation. Like,
there shouldn't.
None
Such
whatsoever.
Human rights?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, thank you.
I said of course.
Yeah. And so...
Let me ask you this.
Basic civil rights.
So I went to a Ben Shapiro thing at USC, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm just going to walk in, do my thing, enjoy, hear him out, and see what he thinks. I'm a fan of Ben Shapiro. Was it simple as I could just walk in and enjoy the speech? No. I walked in, people were asking, what the fuck are you doing? This. I said, why? I said, why can't I just go in? Last time I was here for another speech, that was a democratic speech from a more left-winged person. No riot, or not a riot, there's no backlash, there's no saying, what the fuck are you doing? There's no this, and that, anything. You just walk in, peaceful, everything was fine. But when someone that wants to come speak, and they might not like how they speak or things of that sort, it's considered hate speech. It's considered not believing in their views. So now everyone that goes to their thing should fuck off, die, and rot in hell. And it makes no sense, because you know me. Mm-hmm. But when I went to the event, I'm a piece of shit. I'm a coconut. I should rot in hell. I should do all kinds of shit.
I'm sorry, that's so
like,
funny.
I don't get it. And the Republicans aspects have the same thing, though. I won't say that they don't. It's just, why is it that a lot of the youth do that without knowing full? Because they say, oh, he does hate speech. So some people, I forgot what YouTuber was there, and they were asking questions. So what hate speech has he said? Well, I don't know. She told me that he does hate speech. Easy as that.
I'm referring to Shapiro?
No, her friend. He said, I don't know. She told me that he does a lot of hate speech. But she's screaming, oh, he does hate speech. Fuck him, fuck this. But they're misinformed, or they're hearing from someone else that says, oh yeah, he's a piece of shit. He does a lot of racist things. Or he hates Jews is another funny one that clearly people don't realize Ben Shapiro's Jewish.
Right.
I just don't understand that upsets me with my youth, or with all of us. It's a lot of them are.
It's just like pointing fingers
and scream, and whoever screams the loudest is right.
Okay. Yeah.
I'd be more than happy to have a conversation with anybody, because that's the human thing to do. You can't get a point across, or you guys can't figure out level ground if you guys don't speak with each other. But for some reason, the youth on the side that I'm just gonna say the left. Just so
okay. Yeah. Sure.
They tend not to want to listen. And technically, we both have a lot of things in common. If we could just talk it out. It's just, I just hate that.
I think it depends on the climate, right, of the situation. If it's hostile, I don't really expect anyone to be civil in any way, right?
No, I get it, but there was nothing hostile about it. It was just a man speaking.
Well, Shapiro, I don't know.
Those ideas go far. And there's a reason why the country is the way it is, because those ideas are sticking with a lot of people. And those ideas then move people to make certain votes, or put in certain leadership that then creates certain policy, certain legislation that then, like, it trickles down to the community.
I totally understand.
So, but I feel what you're saying, though. Like, we still have to hear each other. Like, we're not talking. And that's a huge issue. But I also think it's so interesting to look at that question, why aren't we talking, while also thinking about the power dynamic of why we're not talking and who has more power here. Because it's not the Democrats. It's not the liberals. It's not the folks on the left side. It isn't. And if you look at the Supreme Court, that's gone. for any like possibility of the left to have a chance to do whatever type of whatever with that, it's gone. It's all local, like you were saying earlier, actually. So I feel you, and I totally agree. Like, we're not going to get anywhere unless we talk. But these are very powerful think tanks and organizations that have a lot of money that are pushing ideas far and wide. Yeah. Far and wide on that side, on the Republican side. And I'm telling you, like, it's very dire for any of us on the left.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I do agree with a lot of liberal views, and I do agree with a lot of Republican views. Like, if you were to put me in a box right now and to pick between both of those two, I'd jump in the libertarian box. But just because Republican is more of a known aspect for people, they're like, every time I say libertarian, they're like, what the hell is that? And
well, it's worse than Republican.
Yeah. And so I just go more to wherever I find myself fitting in more, and belief-wise. Meaning, I'm not going to automatically go over here and say, oh, I'm brown, let me go over here. This is where I belong. Mm-hmm. No, I'm going to say, where do I think I feel like I belong, whether I'm accepted or not. I'm going to be on the right side until more people learn about libertarianism, then I'll be there, because that's where exactly I would be. I love fiscal, conservative, but do whatever you want.
Okay.
That's my outlook. Mm-hmm. Fiscally conservative, liberal, do whatever you want, don't bother me, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay.
But yes.
Can respect that.
Yeah.
With that, I agree. It's what he's saying. It's like, and what you guys are saying too. There's bad people on both sides, and I think it's important for us, like you're saying, to have that platform to be able to speak to each other and communicate, because it's like playing phone call when everyone it trickles down and it becomes something else that it wasn't to begin with. So it's like, it's important to be able to communicate with people. Like, I can say I'm friends with a Republican. Like, there's people that wouldn't be friends with people who share different opinions than them. But I feel like you, in some sense, you need to be friends with people who share different opinions, because you need to be able to communicate and say, hey, because we all experience the same experience, which is a human experience. But it's like sometimes things get overwhelmed, but we can't communicate how we're feeling to each other, being like, as opposed, and it gets to the point where it's more hostile, being like, I hate you and you hate me.
Right. Except Ellen, she defended herself on national television. She's like, I'm friends with a warmonger, and there's nothing you can do about it. I was like, okay, well, great.
And then you find out months later that she's a horrible person.
Yeah, I know. I was like, it was just, waiting for that big reveal. I was like, okay, cool.
That's crazy. This is like very interesting for me, because I'm not big on politics. I don't know anything. I'm not knowledgeable on anything. So this conversation for me, I was like, oh, this is good. But I kind of see it from his explanation, like people see it as like a sport. The ones who don't know much about it, like, she's obviously knowledgeable on it, but like the regular people, like the Trump supporters, they treat politics like a sport to them. Like, oh, I'm a Dodger fan and you're an Angels fan. We can never see eye to eye. And that's how I see them, like, just yelling whatever the fuck they think. Like, oh, da, 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 da. And then the guy's like, and they don't want to listen to each other. That's how I'm seeing it, just from like hearing how people argue. They're like, oh, I just love them because I do, and you love them because you do, but we're not going to be friends because you're on the different team. That's how I'm seeing it. Like, this is very interesting for me.
That's like 90% of my Instagram.
Yeah.
But I mean, we can all agree that like human rights, despite on whatever side you're in, that
of course.
Yeah.
It's a must-have. It's not something that's negotiable.
Right.
Right.
No question about it. Yeah.
I just think other certain things maybe should be negotiable.
Like voting rights?
You keep it to yourself.
Like voting rights?
I thought you said bowling rights. I was like, okay.
Voting right is you're a citizen of the country, you can vote. Easy as that.
But it's something that fits to what we're talking about. How I know it was something that was talked about. I don't know if it was propaganda or not, but like how Trump was considering taking citizenship away from people whose parents were illegals, and it's something that seems like so. What was that?
Undocumented.
Right. Sorry, I'm using the wrong terminology, but it seems like something that's so like it seems something that can happen, but it's actually happened in the UK. like in the 80s where so it's like it's happened in like powerful Western countries. So to think that that's something that can happen, it's like we take things for granted, just but like it's happened to other people.
Yeah.
And just how we're so privileged to not have war like at our footsteps. So it's like we take things for granted, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I believe with that threat of deporting, or separating families, it wasn't a threat. I believe it happened 100%. It happened, and it just left a really bad vibe, again, bad climate here in the country. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to rant on here for a second or if I'm just going to pass the mic here, because I guess I get a little...
Yeah. It's very personal.
It is personal,
it's super
right,
personal,
right.
especially like us being Latinas. I mean, both my parents were born in Mexico. We understand like that story, the migrant story, and we know many other stories because it's part of our community.
Right,
right. But it is,
and it's been happening. Yeah, Obama, he did some bad things too.
Yeah,
shoot.
Sure.
Yeah, like it's I think I mentioned this to you before in private, but we talked about branding, how at its core, politicians, they're still politicians. So it's like there's people. I'm a fan of Obama as much as anyone else. I love the Obama brand, but it's like we don't talk about some of the things that happened under his administration, because we love his brand so much. Right. But at his core, he's no different than I mean, obviously.
And people like to go back and see what a lot of Republicans say about Obama, and a lot of Democrats have a lot of bad things too.
I'm telling you.
No one ever likes to bring it up.
Well, I would actually say I think you can have both ideas, and I think that's what we forget. You can actually realize that the political system is broken. It's fucked.
Yeah.
And voting rights suck right now. I mean, throughout the states, especially the swing states, they're totally under attack. And so I think we're not being naive to say he messed up in many ways, but God, he's so much better than Trump was. That was a whole other mess that's leaving generational issues that so many people are going to have to deal with. And so I think that's one thing that we all forget. Like, you can actually have both those ideas. The political system's broken.
Yeah.
Obama's not perfect. None of us thought he was.
Yeah.
But that's okay. That's okay. But I like what you said about branding, though, because I think that's a huge part of the politics. Like, in all respects of the politics, local and national. Because really, it's a campaign that you're fighting for. An image, a brand, the look. It's like Coca-Cola. Okay, you got Obama. You got this. You got that. But that's what moves people. That's the system that they're working within that is going to get them the votes. So in a certain way also, like, I can't totally blame them for looking dumb and saying dumb shit, or...
It's the system that's broken and that...
They just have to win, and that's all they know. We have to win, and we're going to do what it takes to win. Trump's doing the same thing,
Yeah.
Everyone's doing it. Yeah. But different outcomes completely.
Have you guys kept up recently with what's happening in Cuba?
I have not on a surface level. I don't know very much about it. I'm reading both sides, but not enough to
have an opinion, or just have
to have an opinion, or
I don't even know what's going on.
Oh, Cuba. There's protesting going on in Cuba as it relates to what's happening. With everything under COVID. How there's a lack of food and a lack of like ability to move around, but
and they're blaming. I'm so sorry. They're blaming communism. They're saying communism is a result of this.
But they don't talk about how like a lot of the problems are because of embargoes and trade.
U.S. meddling.
Yeah, so it's like they. I don't know. There's a big part of the U.S. also being involved with kind of making them look bad. Because I mean, communism isn't perfect. And I'm not here like condemning communism, but it's like real communism doesn't really happen because people get greedy, right? Even with like the Soviets, it's like there's still people who want power over other people. But I'm not really familiar with too much with communism, but it's all about like share power, right? It's all about equal ability to gain, right? It's like everyone gets fair share, but it's not what it is.
There's different forms of it. I think there's like different countries had different like it developed differently. I think that's a deep question though. I feel like you can go real deep into this topic.
I think that it just didn't. In some places, it just didn't work. Right. Some people could say the same about socialism. Right. It just didn't work. And you always have, again, like some egomaniac who's gonna completely fuck it up for the rest of the country. And I don't know. Again, but people are really missing the United States involvement in Cuba's current situation, and because I don't know.
America.
It has a big
America,
impact.
America, right?
There's power. There's big influence.
Yeah.
But you could also look at like what's happening in Hong Kong. That in China, that version of communism, and like China's doing pretty good. And looking at it like the growing middle class, but. So some could say it's good, some could say it's bad. It's a complicated thing.
It's a balance, because I mean there is a balance of there is a level of like capitalism in communist China. So that's one of the reasons why there is a balance of wealth, at least now. But it's like we talk about how great capitalism is, especially in the U.S., but like there's not real capitalism, because we end up kind of saving all the companies that force themselves in a way to kind of manipulate the system in order to get saved by the government. So it's like we talk about how great it is, but we don't actually let it kind of happen organically. If billionaire hedge fund people decide to make bad choices in order to manipulate their income, it's like, why don't we let them kind of reap the benefits of their bad choices versus saving them all the time?
Yeah, and that's what we do, bailout after bailout. And capitalism is exhausting for, the working class.
Yeah, they're the ones who pay in the end.
Because it chingan. Yeah, right. So it is. And capitalism... Like I said, it's exhausting. That's it. That's we'll see. Right. So a friend of mine, I know this is kind of unrelated, but my friend of mine posted a BBC article about, what's his name, from the UK Virgin Airlines?
Ben Roth.
The Virgin owner, right?
Right.
Robert something.
Branson.
Okay, I'm like zoning out.
It's just like...
The guy who went to space.
Right, the guy who went to space. And I was just like, wow, groundbreaking. Another rich white man, colonizing the moon. I don't know. Right.
Guess who's going next? Jeff Bezos.
Jeff. And then what? Who's the other guy? Elon
Musk.
Elon. What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen Elysium?
No.
The movie Elysium? Oh, it's so good. It's about that. They make it, though. The rich, wealthy people make it to this other place, and they leave planet Earth.
It'd be really hard to even live on a different planet, though. Like, they'll be struggling to breathe more than we think.
Yeah.
I was reading, like, an article about it. Like, it's actually a lot harder to live up there than we think.
Yeah.
Even though we're like, oh, all the rich people will leave and they'll survive. Like, they might not.
They may not.
Die.
They might send us instead.
They might die.
What is it? The pressure just completely
Yeah, they're gonna have to be practicing breathing every day and like all this crazy stuff. It's interesting.
Yeah, it sucks to be them. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Sucks to be rich.
Certainly.
I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at the camera.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, there's was that a couple weeks ago? They're like kind of upset about how they're finding out how much tax wasn't being paid by these billionaires, and they're making a big thing about it, and how they're paying their fair share. And then they talk about job creation, but they don't. One thing that triggers me about job creation is the fact that it's like that's a reason for them to get tax breaks, but it's like, who funds these companies? We as people fund these companies, and we're paying the bill through our tax dollars, being like, because they're creating jobs.
Right.
This is actually interesting. I had dinner in downtown LA the other night, and on my receipt, they have added a health and wellness tip to help for the insurance of the employees. Yeah. And I didn't know that was a thing that just started happening. It was like a $2 fee for the employees' insurance. So I was like, so now we're paying for their insurance, which is interesting to me.
Well, the tipping service industry is a whole other topic.
Yeah, that's
tipping also triggers me. I don't it's a broken system as well, but it's just
because in Europe they get normal salary, right?
there's tipping.
Well,
American,
not in California. California's hourly.
Hourly, yeah.
It's just other parts of the country. They still do the $2 and something tip, and they expect that the customers' tips to offset their. But in California, they get their minimum wage.
Because I think it was in London, like they didn't want you to, or you don't tip out there, right?
You don't?
Yeah.
They expect Americans to tip because Americans,
we're used to doing it.
Are used to doing it.
Okay.
But,
Right.
I mean, I accept the customers.
Yeah, me too. Because I remember when I did give a guy a tip, he looked at me like, "Oh, like we don't do this out here." And I was like, "Oh, I guess I'll keep mine."
But I think
That's good to know.
in the States we need to kind of adapt that as well, being like being fair, be paid a fair wage versus like.
Absolutely.
Some people get salty, man.
Yeah, they rely on tips.
I'm like, excuse me, what did you do different that?
Right, you served me my water.
Literally, I had a girl.
I don't job shame.
I had a girl and a guy
Yeah.
take my order, which like this is okay, thank you. Brought the food, that was it. I think some twice more, just do a refill, that was it. And I said, okay, leave no tip. There's no tip.
Right.
And then he gave me a little.
Called you out?
No, he didn't call me out, but he gave me a little smirk and I gave him that. And I said, what? Now.
You look like the bad guy not
it's just
tipping.
like, I don't get it.
Well,
Please explain.
I don't know. I was a server. I was a server at IHOP, California Pizza Kitchen, and you do all of this work when you get slammed. You're
What's your job description?
right to
To serve.
serve. Right,
Yeah.
right. But tips are expected in our industry, and so
Right.
when I was a server, and so you'd slave away to receive like $1 on a $100 bill, which a paycheck. Check.
A check,
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just sucks to get stiffed by
But
you
I'm
would've-
going to put you on the retail aspect. I worked retail from really easy retail to shit show retail. Running around, lifting stuff, doing things, customer, kissing their ass, this. What if I wanted a tip?
Well, I think it's different
Yeah,
for
in which way?
retail.
I mean, it's that job is still whatever, like a service to people. So I know what you're saying.
But let me tell you this. I've worked both jobs. I've worked retail and I've worked in the restaurant as a server as well. For me, my opinion is way different than yours. I'm straying away from my friend behind the camera saying, from working retail and working jobs that have guaranteed pay, I prefer, and that's a bigger problem that we need to kind of like, that revolves around politics. It's like, I prefer I'll work as a server without tips if the guaranteed pay is enough, is a reasonable amount.
A living wage.
A living wage. Like
Right.
I'm like I go about at least the things that I do for money, work. I go about it the same way I would, in any other job. So I don't care for tips. When I worked as a server, I came from a job that already paid me fairly well, hourly. So I would prefer that over taking a chance to like work really hard for someone, serve them really well, and them not tipping and them being upset about the fact that they didn't tip.
Well, I know things have changed over time. But when I was working, I was getting paid like $6 an hour at IHOP, and my tips, that was everything. And I was like, oh, this is my savings.
But with that,
Right.
why would they let people like that? Business owners get away with paying people.
That's what I want to know.
Well, this was in 2001.
2001.
2001.
But isn't it still like that?
No.
Now it's not. Now they pay minimum, at least minimum.
Right, but the minimum wage back then was like $6.25. I don't know. I could be completely wrong, but
the tip wage was. But that shouldn't be an issue or something that the customers need to take care for the employer. I think the employer should pay the people the wages.
Right.
It's not our job to pay your wage, because at the end of the day, the way my aspect
it's
is,
culture though.
we're literally providing for the employees what the employers should be.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I agree.
It's just why do you have to rely on us to give you the tips when you should be relying on your employer to pay you properly? It's
There's an actual chef that took that restaurant owner, David Chang. I guess familiar with David Chang. He owns a bunch of restaurants, but one of them, you guys ever been in New York, Mama Fook? He has a chain of Mama Fook restaurants.
You've heard of the restaurant, right?
He has a restaurant in downtown as well. I'm not sure if it's still open, but that's in New York. He opened up a restaurant like that where that he doesn't allow tipping. Instead, he raised the price of the food in order to pay people fair wages.
And I think that's great, but I mean, just imagine, you get paid shit, and then on top of that, you don't get tips. It's just like, what a bad day on the job. It's just, I don't know.
But see,
there has to be some balance.
It's accountability. It's
Right.
like we need to hold people accountable, not the people that are coming as customers, but like business owners, and then
because they're making so much money.
and then some of the politics that go, because like business owners are taxed really heavy. Like the government almost makes it impossible for anyone trying to open up, start a business because there's so much, like you have to get to a certain tier where you're not paying any taxes, like Jeff Bezos, like Amazon. Like why is it that the small business owners has to cover the taxes for the big corporations? Why do they get the tax breaks versus like small business owners trying to? It's the little guy that should be getting like similar to what we're
Tax
talking
breaks,
about.
like small
How
businesses.
with
Yeah,
the whole
for sure.
thing with Trump, how he passed that thing that did benefit small business owners, but wasn't necessarily meant for small business owners, meant for people
Right.
like his peers. It's meant for his peers,
Right. Yeah. Shake Shack got hooked up.
No Wendy's.
All right. So
Not the.
Can we all agree? Human rights, basic human rights,
yes.
healthcare,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
minimum wage, fair
Yeah.
wages. It's something that it doesn't seem like a lot, but it's like
Yeah,
it's something
I'm
that
with
seems
it.
like
I'm
unattainable.
absolutely 100% with it. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just. See, we all agree. There's just little
So we can be friends with Republicans or Democrats. It's like left, right. It's
course.
it's the same
I
wing of
mean-
the same bird, right?
Sometimes I just don't even need to know. I was
To
like,
know?
I don't want to know. Sometimes I don't want to know.
Yeah.
And that's it,